Good morning. Thank you for turning out on this beautiful summer day. It is officially summer, and it sure seems like it, too. Let me silence this. I'm getting. Do not disturb. There we go. I am the Reverend Bob Renjilian. I use he, him pronouns. I am the minister here at the Unitarian Universalist of Transylvania County. Whether you are new here, visiting here, or been here for a long, long time, many times, we welcome you to this place. We welcome you no matter who you love, how you identify, what color your skin, what national origin, or any other identities you carry into this room. We welcome you because this is a place in which we ask people to walk together, to embrace our differences, to support one another in spiritual journeys, and to work towards justice in this world. Thank you for being here. I have a couple of announcements. One is I want to start with Leslie, if you would come forward. We have a rose for a member who has passed away.
Thank you. Loving Hearts has put a rose for Perry Sauter, who died suddenly. Just a wonderful person with lots of life in her and lots of good experiences and fun to be around. She will be missed.
Next week is Chalice Camp, right, Kevin? That means this entire space is transformed into camp space for folks of all ages. Are you signed up? Yes. Good. We have a lot of kids signed up, but that means if your group usually meets here during the week, you will find that this place is not set up for you. It's set up for them. So just know that your meeting may be moved to a different space. It is Super Sunday today. Thank you for those of you who signed up to bring in a soup to share. And we have tables set out for you. Everyone is invited, whether you brought soup or not. There's plenty to share, I'm sure. I will be available at my table during soup for any of today's sermon topic discussion, and I'll be in the classroom. There's a sign on the door and one table set up in there. If we find out everybody wants to come in and eat soup and discuss with me, then we'll move another table in. But anything about today's sermon you want to talk about, and of course, you can talk to me about any topic whatsoever, any time of the week. Just give me a call or a text, and we'll figure out how to do that. But I wanted to let you know that was coming up. I'm sure there are billions of other things going on in this congregation, even though it's summer slowdown occurring. Just read your newsletters, your update. Just figure out the ways in which you want to be connected with one another. This is a great, active congregation. So thank you all for paying attention. I'm going to turn my attention now, with Gypsy's help, to light some candles this morning.
Bob, I can never do these things, so could you like that?
Would you like to do the wand instead?
Well, I usually do.
All right, yeah.
That's okay. I can do that one.
I am obliging. How's this?
Thank you. I'm terrible.
No, that is a tricky thing. The only tricky thing about this one is it hasn't been lit yet. There we go. Once it's got going, it's going. And it can't be pulled back in.
I know.
Yeah. All right. I'd like a candle. Nancy Richards asked that we light a candle for Jackie Fricks, who's had a medical issue that necessitated a trip to the emergency room and a couple of nights in the hospital. Oh, now she's home and doing much better, and we'll be following up with doctors. We have several notes that were left here. A prayer for peace wherever there is war. Fitting. And a candle of joy for Diane and Fritz Simonson's, that's Christy's parents' 65th wedding anniversary that is on Wednesday. And a candle from Lem and Marilyn Miller, who are so pleased to have son Chip here from Wyoming to make sure that they are taking their meds and balancing their checkbook. And would you like one for the things that have not been shared, for those joys or those sorrows held in the hearts of people here? Oh, I thought of one. Jean, yeah. I had said I would say this for Jean Rowe, to say that because of Lackey's condition, he's been moved to Tori's house in Flat Rock. And so let's light a candle for that. Yeah. Hugs to you, Jean. For those of you who are online, I hope you'll type into a chat or otherwise share with us in later time the things that are held in your hearts. Let's now remember the worth and dignity of each of us in this room and turn to each other and see each other deeply.
The opening words are by Sharon Wiley, a.k.a. Reverend Steel Toe, who is a Unitarian Universalist minister living and working in San Diego County and a called and settled minister at Chalice Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Escondido, California. Unitarian Universalist ministry is a second career after working over 10 years at her family's construction company. That's why it's Steel Toe. We speak so often of brokenness in religious life. Let us speak today of holiness. You're welcome here, all of you. Every part of you, beautiful just the way you are. Here you do not need to be something more or something less. No holding back, no hiding, no exerting yourself, no trying to do more or be more. You have inherent worth and dignity. Nothing to prove here, nothing to prove to me or the person sitting next to you, or the children, or to anyone. You don't have to try and be witty, or more quiet, or more outgoing. You are beautiful. Every part of you is beautiful, just the way you are. You do not need to change anything about yourself to be welcome here. Your skin, your hair, your belly, your limbs, your face, all beautiful just the way they are. You are extraordinary. Each and every one of you different from each and beautiful in your own beautiful way. Breathtaking. Let us worship together. The opening hymn this morning is number 397, Morning Has Come. Please stand as you're able, and it will be on the screen.
It's actually 1008. Just sing what's on the screen.
Okay, sorry. Oh, 1008. Sorry about that. If you have the teal.
Will you help me with the chalice lighting?
Yes. I see. Oh, yes. Sorry about that. Here we go. We now have chalice lighting words by Gwen Matthews. Gwen Matthews, who goes by she, her, Director of Education and Communication at the First Universalist Church of Yarmouth, Maine. Holds a bachelor's degree in education and has been working as a religious education professor since January 2016. Gwen values approaching the world with enthusiasm and hopeness, and strives to connect people of all ages with our justice-centered, active, and inclusive faith. The words are in unison and they are on the screen. Whoever you are, wherever you are from, whomever it is, whatever you've done, you are welcome here. You are welcome to this time, this space, this moment that we carve out often busy and chaotic weeks. You are welcome to this time for collective breaths, for words, for music, for lighting candles, and for us to simply exist here together. Kevin?
Good morning. My name's Kevin Lausch, and I work with the kids here at UUTC. And I'm happy to say, starting tomorrow, we have a bunch of kids here. We have 17 signed up. So just think good thoughts for them and a wonderful week for them. And today we have a great book called Everything Possible. It's written by Fred Small and Allison Brown. And it's a really neat book that first started as a song. And we're going to hear that song later and more of the story of the book from Bob. Everything Possible. We have cleared off the table, the leftovers saved, washed the dishes and put them away. I've told you a story and tucked you in tight at the end of your knockabout day. As the moon sets its sails to carry you to sleep, over the midnight sea, I will sing you a song no one sang to me. May it keep you in good company. You can be anybody you want to be. You can love whoever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads. And you know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one. And the only measure of your words and deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. Some children grow up strong and bold, while some are quiet and kind. Some race on ahead, some take it slow, some go in their own way and time. Some women love women, some men love men, some leave every label behind. You can dream all the day, never reaching the end of everything possible you'll find. Don't be rattled by names, by taunts, by games, but seek out spirits true. If you give your friend the best part of you, they will give the same back to you. You can be anybody you want to be. You can love whoever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one. And the only measure of your words and deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. And that's this great book, Everything Possible. Thank y'all.
As the ushers prepare to pass the plates, I ask you to open your hearts, your checkbooks, your pocketbooks, your pockets, to the good of this congregation, and also the special support envelope, if you wish, for the Augustine Literary Project, the charity that this congregation voted for this month to receive additional contributions. We will now gratefully receive the morning offering.
Thank you.
What is given with love, we receive with great joy. Thank you. I invite you into this moment, the centered moment of meditation and prayer. Spirit of love and life, we who are gathered here this morning bring with us the joys and the sorrows, the celebrations and the grieving that is a part of our lives. We as a community rejoice in love that helps us carry our burdens together, to share in our joys together, to know that this is a place in which we are loved, accepted, and that we are lifted up. Spirit of love and life, we grieve and miss those who are lost from us in walking into this room. The rose this morning reminding us of Perry Sauter in particular. We also miss those who are unable to participate most fully in our families, in our communities, for whatever reasons of health and life circumstance. In particular, this morning we lift up Lackey Rowe. We send out our love and prayers to those who are ill, those who are still recovering from bouts of COVID, those who are catching whatever the latest thing is that's going around. In particular this morning, we have Jackie Fricks in our prayers with her medical issues and her return from the hospital, and may she recover and get good healing from her doctors, and knowing that we are, in fact, sending our prayers out into the universe for her. We celebrate the wondrous times in our lives that we share. In particular, this morning, that means a joy for big anniversaries. For Fritz and Diane Simonson on their 65th. It means this morning reuniting with family and being together, including Chip visiting Lem and Marilyn, and yes, all of the children and parents who check up on each other and see that they're doing okay. And we also pray, for we know that around the world there is violence, there is war, and we pray for peace. These and the prayers of our hearts we hold now in the silence. In the names of all those known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind, we say, Amen, blessed be. I welcome John and James in bringing their music and voice to what Kevin had mentioned earlier, the same lyric that was the book words for our song.
That's not it, though.
We have cleared off the table,
The leftovers say,
wash the dishes, and put them away. I have told you a story and tucked you in tight.
at the end of your knockabout day,
As the moon sets its sail to carry you to sleep over the midnight sea, I will sing you a song no one sang to me. May it keep you good company. You can be anybody that you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're gone. Some children grow up strong and bold,
while some are quiet and kind.
some race on ahead, some take it slow, some go in their own way and time. Some women love women, and some men love men. Some leave every label behind. You can dream all the day, never reaching the end of everything possible for you.
Don't be
Rattled by names, by taunts or games, but seek out spirits true. If you give your friends the best part of yourself, they will give the same back to you. You can be anybody that you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're gone. Oh, the love you leave behind when you're gone.
reading I have is from this tiny little book from about 15 years ago, Welcome, a Unitarian Universalist Primer. It's entitled All Are Welcome. Although many Unitarian Universalists were born in this faith, many more came to it later in life. Some of these seekers left the faith tradition of their childhood, while others came from no religious tradition at all. Interfaith families have frequently found a religious home in a Unitarian Universalist congregation where each partner's beliefs and traditions are honored, and children can learn about their parents' faith, heritage, and eventually seek their own answers to religious questions. Our Unitarian heritage calls us to recognize the inherent good of all persons, while the Universalist part of our tradition encourages us to extend love and acceptance to all people. You are welcome in a Unitarian Universalist congregation, whatever your gender identity, sexual orientation, racial identity, or class. Our principles call us to affirm the worth and dignity of each individual, to accept one another, and to foster each other in spiritual growth. The sermon this morning I entitled Worth and Dignity. It is crafted after ask by the person who won the bid on my sermon at the auction. Now, I have had some challenging topics over time. This one is one that I think I will fall right into the groove of preaching. It is it's just not anywhere near as challenging as the year or maybe 15 years ago somebody asked me to preach on the current music video produced by an Icelandic band and its meaning for Unitarian Universalists. Me not having ever heard Icelandic before or seen such a video, it was a lot of prep. But I have prepared for this one because even though I've offered workshops on these topics, I think it's important to stay current and to know what's going on. I also have subtitled this after discussion with others as the Right on Red sermon. And I'll say more later. You know, you turn right on red? Yeah. This is a turn right on red sermon. All right. So here we go. The Unitarian Universalist General Assembly that's going on right now, I don't think I'm supposed to be in a session at this moment. No. Our other delegates are shaking heads. No. Has been dealing with topics that speak to the way in which certain people's rights are being abridged. People are being erased. And there was a business resolution which passed with 92% flying colors that said, and this is a quote from line 157 to 160, and I forget how many lines this had. We hereby pledge our collective faithful efforts to the full affirmation and celebration of transgender, non-binary, intersex, and gender-diverse people within our congregations and the wider community, and uphold this commitment as a fundamental obligation revealed by our principles and values. Why would such a business resolution come up? That's what some of the 8% who said, why are we voting this? We've voted this for decades. Why are we voting this now? It may be in part because in yesterday's news it was released that the LGBTQ Support Center in one of the state universities in, maybe all the state universities in Utah are being shut down because of the new laws that were passed in that state. Law that said there can be no DEI. You should not be mentioning the word diversity. Instead, you can talk about difference of opinion. And that any tax dollars spent on supporting support services for students must be available to everyone, meaning the African American Support Center cannot be for an African American. The Native American Support Center cannot be for them, and the LGBTQ Center cannot exist unless all of those centers let in straight white people. It doesn't say it in those exact words, but we know that is exactly what was decided by that vote by the legislature in Utah, and it's having an effect. So why do we speak up again now? Because Unitarian Universalists, when they see this happening, say something. See something? Say something. So, we have this morning trans flag, a non-binary flag. You may not recognize this one. This is pretty new. And the progress flag, which is a few years old, which showed that on the pride flag that we normally recognize, there are some intersectionalities and things that we need to have progress on. So there's a chevron moving progress into that community as well of better trans acceptance, see the colors, as well as anti-racism with the brown and black. Don't know if you can see them from the angles, but we had a couple of the flags that ran in the beginning. So you could see those. So that's the current atmosphere. So why have I led workshops on and wearing a pin that says he, him? Why am I doing that? It's because I went to workshops years ago called Beyond the Binary, run by the Unitarian Universalists in Syracuse, New York, and opened up during the pandemic to anybody online and Unitarian Universalism to learn how much we need to understand that for some folks out there, it's not just male and female. Now, I have a story from when I was a kid, and you all probably have stories too about how you were taught gender and how important gender was in places that you never thought it would be important. Now, when I was in second grade, the school system I was in had the bizarre decision that second graders should take standardized tests and learn how to fill in little bubbles and not go outside the line and figure out our academic progress. So I was there in class, and my second grade teacher said to us, "You have your test booklets. Do not open your test booklets until it is time. You will be timed. Fill in the dots as best as you can. Do not go outside the line. If you make a mistake, you must fully erase the dot and try again." All sorts of instructions. Second graders are told by the teachers how to survive life, and we were learning how to fill in the dots and stay in the lines. The teacher said, if you have a question and you need assistance, raise your hand and I will come to your desk and help you out. Now, I was in a desk with the inkwell on the right. This was a very old school building, and they hadn't bought anything new, even by the time I was born. It probably was called a grammar school when it opened, and they had inkwells in the desks, and most all of them had inkwells on the right, except for one desk in the room that had one on the left, recognizing there might be one lefty, and they didn't burn such people at the stake anymore. So, but we used pencils in second grade. So I start filling things in. I fill in the dots for Renjilian, Robert, Franklin. I fill in all sorts of other, what's my teacher's name, all of the things that have to go on to the standardized tests. And then they have one, I think it's called gender or sex. And it says M or F. And I am a 6-year-old who has no idea what M or F stand for. I have been lacking in my education. When the teacher comes in, she says, "Good morning, boys and girls," and we say, "Good morning, Mrs., whatever." If I go to a more grown-up place, the doors have men or women or an M or a W. If it's a really fancy place, it will say ladies or gentlemen, L or G. But what were M or F? And I raised my hand and the teacher said, you shouldn't have any questions about this section, and would not come to me. So I racked my brain, and being the gifted child I was, I decided it stood for mother and father. And so I marked F. Months later, my parents and I were called to the principal's office. And I was quizzed as to why I had marked female on my thing. I said it was M or F. I didn't know what they meant. I figured they must mean mother or father. Are you a grown-up mother or father? No. Well, then you should not have marked it that way. I was shamed for marking the wrong thing on a test that I still to this day do not understand why they needed to know whether I was an M or an F, whatever that stood for, in order to see how my academic progress was. But all of us had been taught from at least second grade that you must know exactly what you are with the choices available to you, even if those choices don't match what everybody says out loud. Why do I have a pronouns button on? Because there are some people who are finding that they don't feel like they fit the categories that they were assigned. That they don't fit the categories. What our song and our book has a phrase in it that says, and some people don't fit the labels. When that song was originally written, and the way you find it in our hymn books, back in the 1980s, it was a very feminist-informed thing. Boys can be gentle, and girls can be brave. And the author, Fred Small, Reverend Fred Small, updated it for the 21st century to recognize that while it was radical for its time to sing such a thing in a Unitarian Universalist congregation in the 1980s, that by this century, we really needed to recognize that there were people out there who consider themselves non-binary and don't feel like the labels fit. Now, I've read online many populations out there on support groups online, hopefully not supported by Utah tax dollars, who are saying it's important to me. Please recognize that those labels, filling in the dots, doesn't work for me. I feel like something both and or beyond. And some of those folks may start using a different name or just their initials to recognize that the naming, the identity, is something they want to claim. And when I started out in Unitarian Universalist ministry, we were trained as ministers to know that among trans folks, who back then we understood trans folks to want to switch from one to the other. The umbrella now says, well, we're just not quite fitting what we were assigned at birth. But back then we were told, you may have someone come to your congregation who is publicly trying to fit who they know themselves to be inside. And when they come to your congregation, this may be the only space and the very first space in which they may dress differently from the way they dress at work or with their families. And that as a minister, I need to be prepared to welcome everybody, no matter what they wear, no matter how they're identifying. Back then, we used to have, way early, we used to have pink triangles we'd put on our name tags to show that we were allies or gay, lesbian, or trans, that we use that symbol to say, look, we're supportive. These days, for the non-binary or trans, we can wear pronouns. Again, why is that important? Well, because some of the pronouns are different. Shakespeare started using they back in the 1500s. I know your English teacher didn't tell you that, and your English teacher wasn't going to come to your desk and help you fill in M or F either. But yeah, they started being used that long ago. I mean, if you've only been accepting it in colloquial speech for 500 years, do you think you could put it on a name tag? My training is, as a Unitarian Universalist minister, that yes, we'd like to do that. Now, it's right on red. It's right on red. Who do you blame right on red on? In this country, you blame it on the environmentalists. Those pesky environmentalists during the gas crisis found a way to get you not to sit idling needlessly in your 8 mpg car and big V8 at every intersection when you just could have turned right and gone on to your trip, guzzling down the road. Right on red was invented during the gas crisis so that we wouldn't just be sitting there uselessly polluting. Now, the person beeping at you behind you thinks it's for their benefit, and they want you to know that you're in their way. But you know what? It doesn't matter. You do not have to turn right on red. No one told you you have to do it. It's an option for you. Do you feel safe? Do you feel like it's a situation you want to do it? Then you do it. Well, that was what happened with those pink triangles. Or I've seen the old pictures when I was doing the prep for the 25th anniversary sermon. I've seen the old pictures. Some of you had stickers or a little snipped rainbow ribbon that you'd put on your name tags. Again, showing you were an ally or part of the community. It was your choice. Not everybody had them, but some people did. It reminds me of a congregation I served, so unlike this one. Oh my goodness, it's so unlike this one. Where they would tell visitors to get a green mug, and that members were to go up and greet the visitors. They would recognize the visitors by their green mugs, and people would greet the visitors. These poor people would be standing there with a green mug staring at the bulletin board. Oh, they could have learned from you on welcome. So what did I tell them? I told them one Sunday when I was preaching, folks, I'm giving you a choice. Visitors, I ask you not to take a green mug. Members who would be comfortable talking to a visitor take a green mug, so that visitors could walk up to you and have a conversation. That's why we have the buttons. Because a person coming to this space may be the only space they've ever been to that has people among them that would recognize there is a value to saying you can choose the pronouns you want, and finding the people who are okay with hearing that their pronouns are they, them, or sie, zir, or per, or whatever it is, the pronouns that they've chosen, that there's a way for somebody knowing I'm somewhat safe talking to this person about my pronouns. Most people, when they look at me, assume he, him, and that's what my button says. But it might not have been. I'm comfortable with that. But there are some folks for whom it just doesn't fit. So I'm giving you a right-on red opportunity. If you want, I have bought a number of little stickers, and I put one on the top of mine, which you can't see from this distance. People at home, forget it. You cannot read this name tag. But I snipped a little bit off of this little circular one because my name is too long and there's no big gap on my name tag to put he, him. And you have the opportunity, doing our super time here, to go out to the main counter and see he, him, she, her, they, them, or blank. Why? Because Unitarian Universalists always give you the option to write in your own way. And you know what? I have served with a Unitarian Universalist minister who said, my pronouns are she, them. What? That's because they honor in a strong way the assigned female at birth designation and the ways in which there were ways ways in which that person was treated in negative ways in our society with that perceived identity, but also want to claim, and I'm really under the non-binary flag. So you got to write it in the way that works for you. Except you don't, because it's optional, just like turning right on red. And if you mess up on somebody's pronouns, you know what you do? You fall on the ground, flailing, like some actor saying, "Oh, don't kill me for getting it wrong, don't," and making yourself the center of attention. No. No, 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 no. At the Beyond the Binary workshop, we learned it's kind of like you're walking down the hallway and you accidentally brush against somebody or bump against somebody. You say, "Oh, sorry. Oops, sorry." Then you're not making it all about you. You're recognizing, I just did something, I'm sorry. And the other person can say, "No problem." Or the other person can say, "You are the 10th person today to do that, so you get to get my wrath." But in reality, you're not making it about you. You're just saying, "Oops, sorry." That's your minister's suggestion, at least. It's said in religion that we're created in God's image. It's said in different hymns in Galatians that there aren't separate identities, really. Not really when we're thinking of ourselves as part of the holy. No, neither Greek nor Jew, slave or free, male or female. And sometimes we forget that from second grade on. Maybe in school. Maybe in some circumstances our society has said you have to have a certain label. And we've chosen which labels are available to you. Everything's possible, folks, as the book said. Fred Small, I hosted Fred Small 2 months ago, almost exactly 2 months ago. He came out to hear the Gay Men's Chorus sing his updated version of the song. They had sung it at least a dozen years ago in the original words, and he wanted to hear it again. Plus, he's on his book tour, so he sold books. He signed one, the one that Kevin read from, for our children's library. So grandparents, parents, aunts and uncles, you want to have that book to borrow for when your kids want that story? Or even better, Fred would be glad if you looked it up and bought one. Everything's possible. Everything's possible. And if you want, let people know if you're comfortable using pronouns. I know, there's so much more to talk about. So we have one table set up in that room to talk more. I'll run the workshop again if there's enough demand. I can say so much. And listen a great deal more as to how this whole process is affecting you. I honor my second grade teacher. I learned a lot. I grew a lot. But I also separate myself from the lessons that no longer fit for me and don't fit for others. Blessings on all of you. Whether you use the name that was given to you on your birth certificate, whether you use the pronouns that people expect, whether you follow some dictates from long ago or have helped craft your own path in life, you are welcome here. All of you. Thank you. Our closing hymn from our Teal hymn book is number 1053. How could anyone ever tell you? Our closing words are also from this small Unitarian Universalist primer, the words of our own Jean M. Rowe. It's on page 28 and 29 if you want to go look it up. We have a calling in this world. We are called to honor diversity, to respect difference with dignity, and to challenge those who would forbid it. We are people of a wide path. So let us be wide in our affection and go our way in peace. Blessed be on all of you.